during the war years. Now, I know this is the picture that was taken when Nic first enlisted. Why do I know that? Look at his hair. It was never as long ever since. I'm sure Nic would say it was the helmet that wore it off. But there it is, September 1941, holding a rifle, standing at his barracks as a recruit. And there he is after boot camp with his beloved sister Lucy. And you can see how she's clutching him, holding him tight to her, because nobody who ever knew Nic Fiore ever wanted him to leave. But also notice his hat at a cock, just a little jaunty, you know. That was his style. He had a little bit of style and something a little, probably there was an officer somewhere who would have criticized him for that hat, but he wore it at an angle no matter what. Can you pick the guy with the cocked hat in this scene? Those are Royal Canadian Army soldiers sighting in their rifles, and Nic was a physical training instructor, and he in fact was wearing his helmet at an angle. And who would think that Nic would ever have a bayonet? In fact, Nikki, his daughter, tells me that her mom asked him to finally get rid of it because it had been stored for so long. But even in posing with a bayonet, look at the smile on Nic's face. It was a big game to him, because life was that. Following the war, he became a ski instructor. He started at the Canadian Ski Instructor School, and after that joined the St. Adele Lodge in Canada in the Laurentian Mountains, where he was a ski instructor for 2 years and sports director for 2 summers. And that's where he met the great skier Loogie Foger. Loogie had been the ski school director here in Yosemite, and he went back to Canada to be ski school director in the Laurentians, and he met Nic there. And of course, when you meet Nic, he stays with you. And so Loogie brought Nic back to Yosemite, and in the winter of 47-48, Nic arrived. By 1954, he was the assistant ski school director, assistant ski instructor. 1958 was an important year for Nic. He became a U.S. citizen, which he was very proud of, and also became ski school director. And by the way, that was a picture of Nic standing in front of the Mariposa County Courthouse, which is the oldest courthouse west of the Rockies, with his citizenship papers. During the boomer years of the 1950s and 60s, he taught thousands and thousands of children to ski on football fields. In fact, I remember a picture, I couldn't find it, of literally several hundred students, all in the snowplow position, Nic up on a rafter or some kind of a podium, directing all the kids to make a snow turn on grass on the football field. In one 21-day period in 1958, when he was a ski school director, he taught 2,341 people to ski in 21 days. That's over 100 people to ski every day. In 1965, he wrote the book, So You Want to Ski, and helped people to understand what the sport was all about. He was always making news. He was in the news either as a ski racer or as someone running races, or someone always talking and promoting the sport. And in fact, he was an irrepressible jokester. And some people like to throw jokes at him, like someone saw this clip of Nic making a ski jump in a race. Well, look at the expression on Nic's face, and they wrote at the bottom, and maybe it was Nic who wrote this, I don't know, maybe one of the daughters can tell me if that was his writing, but it says, "Why the exertion? Who is scared?" You know. As a ski school leader, he was the best. In 1967, he was among the first Americans to be invited by the French government to France to attend the very prestigious French National Ski Instructors Academy at Chamonix. He kept his ski instructor's pin all these years, and it's just been given to the Winter Club for the Ahwahnee Hotel Winter Club room. He coordinated similar international exchanges, and this was a time when skiing was really seen as a European sport, and he was bringing about American skiing to a very high level and bringing international skiers in to convey what they knew about the sport and have those exchanges. Midge was very involved in that as well, and became executive director and held that position of the Professional Ski Instructors Association of America, Western Division, for more than 20 years. In all, he taught skiing for 58 years. Now imagine, most people go out on the slope and teach for 1 or 2 years. Nic was out there in the snow in his 70s, every day, ringing that bell, teaching people to ski. Some of the people he taught to ski were such celebrities and well-known people as Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner, to a little 5-year-old kid in wet, baggy, woolen, rented ski clothing that he helped get on the snow, on the rope tow. For all of that, he received numerous awards. The Winter Club named its Nic Fiore Award after him, and it's given with great honor. He also received awards from the Northern California and Southern California Ski Riders Associations, their Lifetime Achievement Awards. And he's the only ski instructor ever to be inducted in the California Tourism Hall of Fame and the California Outdoor Hall of Fame. And of course, he's been nominated for the U.S. National Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame 3 times. The people who have written about Nic include such greats as Jimmy Huga, Alf Engen, Ernie Blake, Dave McCoy, Bob Maynard. And let me read to you what Ann Hendrickson, the president of the United States Ski Association, wrote as a P.S. on her letter to the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. P.S. You might smile at the following. I recently overheard famed National Ski Hall of Fame member Luigi Foger identified as, quote, an Austrian ski instructor who used to work with Nic Fiore. And she closes and says, such is Nic's stature around here. He was #1 not just on the ski slopes, but also #1 in hospitality, and led as a manager of all of these famous lodging facilities in Yosemite National Park, and also was at the front door along with Bill Germany, myself, and a bunch of people in red coats, Jerry Ernest, others, welcoming people to the Bracebridge dinner for many, 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 many Bracebridge dinners. He was, of course, the legendary director of the High Sierra camps, and we all know the welcome we got whenever we walked into one of those camps. Midge Fiore traveled this road with Nic, and she was a very special light in his life. Midge was born in Pasadena and grew up there. She went on to Pomona College and UC Berkeley, where she studied interior design. She was very interested in being an architect, and that was really her ambition, to be an architect, and she had the skill and ability. She could have been one very easily. She was a member of Alpha Phi sorority and was a sweetheart of Sigma Chi. She worked summers at Camp Curry to pay for college, and that's where they met. Later in life, she got a teaching credential. She was the librarian at the Yosemite School and taught at the Yosemite School, among many other responsibilities she had. This was a true Yosemite romance, and when you see this couple, you got to look at them and say, aren't they beautiful? This was a beautiful woman and a beautiful man inside and out. She was editor of the Yosemite Snowflake, it was selected as the best paper of its type by the Northern California Ski Riders when she was in charge of it, and she was secretary of the PSIA. I mentioned earlier that if it had not been for Nic, and if it had not been for Midge, many international ski instructors would have not brought their ideas about skiing into America so that our ski technique could evolve. And that's in fact what she did, because she got their clearances through all the customs and immigration. They raised a family together. And of course, we have the family here today. It's very special. I hope you get to meet Nikki and Cindy. They were both Stanford grads, and Nikki said to me, you know, if it hadn't been for my mom's interest in reading and her work as a librarian and her emphasis on us both reading, we would have never gotten there. Today, one's an attorney, the other an educator. They have 8 grandchildren, and many of them are here today and quite distinguished in their own lives. Nic was a devoted father and grandfather. Midge was a devoted mother and grandmother. And together, we remember them forever for their devotion to Yosemite National Park and its visitors. Thank you.